Hey there, and welcome back to this random-ass Soul Level 1 playthrough of Dark Souls 3. Last time we got murdered by angels and demons in the Dreg Heap, so today we're going to keep going on from there and go ahead and finish the game with the Ringed City. So after lighting the first bonfire, it's time to get the Ringed City welcome by having this guy way over there spawn a crap ton of archers to machine gun the hell out of you, so you just run all the way over here into these tombstones so you can block all their shots, and afterwards you can come over to this broken part of the wall and drop down into what is seemingly a bottomless pit, but it's not. So we'll come over here along this wall and fail at killing the crystal lizard, so go back there to do it properly, except fail again, and eventually he's going to disappear, so who cares, it's just a Titanite's tail anyway, so anyway, move on and climb the ladder over here. So the ladder will take you back up here to the Archer Hell, and I'm going to come over here on these stairs and head into this doorway, which is actually not where you're supposed to go in order to proceed, so there's a hidden blessing, that's cool, but I don't really care, so I'm going to kill these skeletons to prevent them from killing me. Well, I'm going to kill one of them, and I'm just going to roll past the second. Anyway, now that I've figured out where I'm going to head up the stairs to proceed for real, but before I do that, I have to get shot and killed. So after coming back, now that I actually know where I'm supposed to go, I'm just going to run straight through all on over there and go down these stairs over here to proceed. So after having a quick look around at the scenery, I guess, I'm going to come across this guy who, he says some stuff, but who cares about him, so just move on, and down these stairs is this guy who's going to rudely push you. And then there was this guy hanging from the wall, so I went ahead and tried to kill him, which I did, but, well, yeah. So coming back around, I'm going to actually kill him properly, and then I'm going to consider picking up this item, but then this guy came up, and I didn't feel like fighting him, so instead I just went inside to go pick up the bonfire, but before that I had to get lost and try to open a door that I can't actually open. So I'm going to light the bonfire, and then I'm going to move on, where all these guys are going to start coming after me, but a short time later I'm going to bypass all of them and arrive here with this ring knight who's going to try to wombo combo me into oblivion. So after this, you come down these stairs and there's this weird guy who's going to come up running down on all fours, but you can just ignore him like every other enemy in the stage and run down these stairs because that's where you need to go. And down here is going to be another ring knight, but this guy's got a lance, but if you just go inside the little circle, you can just avoid him completely, so that's nice. You'll then come across another set of stairs, which is populated by these guys, and in case you weren't aware, they suck, because they can do that and just one-shot you when they feel like it. So after coming back, I'm going to be a little smarter and try to avoid subjecting myself to as many swings as possible, and I'm also going to use an Ember to improve my chances of survival, which actually did help because it prevented me from getting one-shot. So I'm going to successfully run past all of them and get over here to this swamp, which does not poison you, so thank God for that. So when you reach the swamp, simply take a sharp right and you'll be able to climb up these stairs in order to get to this bonfire to get yourself a nice break. And after heading back down the stairs from the bonfire, you can take another right turn and you'll eventually come over here with this half-sunken building in the distance with all these knights, and this guy who spawns a lot of archers will start shooting at you, so just keep running and hope to God they miss all their shots, which as it turns out is a perfectly valid strategy. So simply run to the back of the building, and there's also this twinkling titanite on the way if you feel like it. So just run down here on these rocks, and a little further ahead is going to be a room which will lead you to a door that opens up a shortcut back to the bonfire we were just at, so you won't have to run this miniature gauntlet every time. So here's the door, and as you can see on the other side there's the bonfire, but I'm not going to go and rest, I'm just going to keep moving. After this you come to this mountainside where Midir will promptly roast the hell out of you, so make sure you prepare yourself for that. Make sure you prepare yourself to get roasted a second time also, and then come back for a third time and realize you can dodge a lot sooner than you thought you could, and then you can just roll through the fire and keep moving. Don't drop down here because it's actually a bottomless pit. You want to drop over there, but before that you should probably try to avoid getting roasted again. So after that you can roll down here and now you're safe from the fire. So I picked up these Titanite chairs, of course, because I could, and I also went ahead and murdered this poor guy who was just sleeping on the ground over here for some reason. There was also this guy who pushed me and I almost yeeted myself off the cliff, but everything was fine, so I went ahead and killed him so he wouldn't bother me, and then I wanted to see if Midir was going to come by again, but he decided he wasn't going to, so I'm just going to take this opportunity to run straight past and head into these catacomb things, sort of. So I'm going to try to think of where I'm supposed to go, but I'm going to realize I have absolutely no idea where I'm supposed to go, so instead I'm just going to notice this piece of cloth on the ground and I'm going to drop down from there. So afterwards I'm going to head up the stairs, which will lead you to this hole where you can drop down from there, and if you head at the bottom of these stairs you'll see this room, which is completely empty. So head on the stairs and you'll eventually come across a room with a chest in it that's actually a mimic, but if you keep going on from there, you'll eventually reach this place over here with some skeletons and some stairs, and this is where you're supposed to go. So of course I'm going to start out by killing the skeletons. They're not really a threat, but I didn't want them to come and bother me later on or something, so after climbing up yet another set of stairs, you can take this left turn over here, and there's another set of stairs which you're going to climb up, of course, and then there's a bonfire right over here. Bridge Midir. So simply head into this corner over here and you'll be safe from all but one of his fire attacks. So he's going to breathe some fire over there, which is going to be completely pointless, and then he's going to try to roast you over there in the corner, but this is your time to just go ahead and slap his hand for some free damage, and that's basically the entirety of the fight. You're going to be doing this for like 5 minutes, so get comfortable. There was also this time where Midir decided to throw a temper tantrum and start smacking the ground and breathing fire all over, but it turns out it really didn't do anything for him, so it was kind of impressive, I suppose. Well, anyway, after a while you're going to knock him down like this, and then you can go ahead and get yourself a crit, which is not going to kill him, but it will get him out of the way, so that's kind of cool. And now that he's out of there, you can go ahead and move on, and pick up this Titanite shell on the way if you feel like it, and then you'll come across this room where there are these stairs, and there's also an invisible wall over there, but I don't really care, so I'm just going to head up the stairs and kill this crystal lizard as well. At the top of the stairs is this big circular room with a statue that's holding an item in the middle, but you can go ahead and pick it up right now. Well, you can, but not from this room. So anyway, just go into this door right next to the stairs from which you came, and you'll find an elevator, which will take you back to the second bonfire of the area, so that's a nice little shortcut for you. So I'm going to go ahead and sit at the bonfire in order to replenish my Estus, all 2 of them, and then I'm going to go back to the elevator, and right in the middle of the elevator shaft there's this doorway, which will lead you to, among other things, this room with a hole in it, where you can drop down and actually go ahead and pick up the item the statue was holding, the Chloranthy Ring +3, so that could be useful, but I'm not really going to actually use it, but it's good, so pick it up. So over here, this ringed knight is going to slap me with his swords, and afterwards I'm just going to run straight through and open this door after this guy talks to me for some reason. So anyway, this door takes a long ass time to open, and this guy was trying to kill me all the while, but he couldn't do it because I had invincibility frames, so hooray for that. And now I'm going to head into the first boss of this place, which is this big fat guy in the background. Okay, no it's not, but you'll see soon enough. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to kill him because I didn't feel like waiting for him to finish his dialogue, but as it turns out he's got quite a lot of HP. He also slapped me, so eventually the actual boss is going to spawn, which is no, not this guy either, but I'm going to go ahead and kill him because otherwise he's going to make the actual boss annoying. So I'm gonna try to kill him, but as you can see I wasn't doing a very good job, and that's when the actual boss, this NPC over there, actually spawned. So anyway, first attempt, and I died, obviously, so I just decided I'm going to come back and try myself again. So as always, I'm going to start out with a dishonorable backstab, but instead of going for a charged R2 this time, I'm just going for some R1s, and it actually went a lot better. I actually managed to kill the guy before the actual boss managed to spawn, so I'm going to hide behind the pillar in order to buff with the grass and the gold pine resin and everything, and now it's time for a proper 1v1, so this shouldn't be too bad. Since he decides to pull out the bow, I'm just going to go ahead and slap him a couple of times, and then he pulls out the shield, and then he goes two-handed mode. Otherwise, it's an NPC invader boss, so it's as simple as you expect it to be. He has a couple of fancy moves, but it's nothing too crazy. The only thing you have to take note of is that halfway through the fight, this guy was spawned, so naturally go ahead and give him the dishonorable backstab as well, and afterwards he's going to wake up, and since I had the gold pine resin, I actually managed to finish him off with a combo, so he's not going to be in my way anymore, and I can go back to doing the 1v1, so I think it's pretty much in the bag right now. Otherwise, there really isn't much else. Just make sure that you don't try to hit him when he's shielding, because if you do, he's probably going to parry you. But if he's two-handing, or if he's using the bow, you're pretty much free to go ahead and smack him as much as you want. So, as you can see, he's basically already dead, and I'm going to run around some more in order to heal and dodge all this stuff he's throwing at me, but he's going to pull out the bow again, so after the spears disappear, right there, I'm just going to go in and start smacking him some more, and there you go. He's dead. So that only took 2 attempts, kind of like the NPC boss in the previous DLC, so that's all nice and good. So with Halflight dead, I get the opportunity to actually head on towards an actual real good boss. So after lighting the bonfire, taking an elevator and opening this door, you get over here to this woman who's sleeping, and then you touch something and then the world dies. Yeah, that's the lore for you. So after lighting the bonfire, I start up by buffing in preparation for our next fight, which is going to be Slave Knight Gael. So I hope you're ready, because obviously I went ahead and died a whole bunch of times, so here it goes. So attempt number 10, and I'm going to start out by buffing, but I'm not going to buff exactly the same way this time. I'm actually going to use the rotten pine resin for poison instead of the gold pine resin for extra damage. And the reason for that is because Gael can actually be poisoned for some reason, and as it turns out, it does a whole lot of damage over time, because I think it's based on max HP, which Gael has a crap ton of, so it's actually really good for this fight. First phase is pretty simple, which is good because that leaves you plenty of openings to get some hits in for proccing poison, so it's better you do it now than later, because things are about to get a whole lot harder and a whole lot more crazy later on. So you just want to dodge most of his attacks, and afterwards you go for 1, maybe at most 2 hits in order to ensure you don't leave yourself open to get stabbed in the face. Also, after 6 hits, I believe, he's going to stagger, and maybe we'll get to see that soon enough. But when he does, you can feel free to go ahead and get an extra hit, but no more than 1 extra hit. You'll only stagger if you can actually manage to land the hits relatively close to each other, so if you take too long between hits, then you probably won't stagger, so you'll have to get in a few extra. But otherwise it's not that big a deal. So there you go, phase 1's done, and I'm going to start phase 2 by using an Ember in order to increase my max HP, because otherwise I die really freaking quickly, and I'm going to use some more grass in order to buff my stamina regen again. So phase 2 is where stuff gets real, and it's also where you really want to never go for more than 1 hit at a time, otherwise you're going to get hit for sure and probably die depending on how much HP you have left and a whole bunch of other factors. So you just want to roll wherever you see his hit coming from, because his cape also acts as a hitbox during this phase, and if you don't roll properly, you're probably going to dodge the sword, but end up getting hit by the cape anyway, and that could also be pretty bad, because it will take your Lord's shield ring away, and that could lead you to getting one-shotted by another attack later on. For me personally, I had the best luck with dodging left most of his attacks, because that seemed to be where most of his hits were coming from, with a few exceptions, but if they come from the right, then make sure you actually do go ahead and dodge right, and when he throws out these rings of light, try to head behind him, because they're going to come back eventually, and that could get you in some trouble. And you also really want to be careful with when you heal, so that you don't go ahead and just end up taking all the damage back anyway, or possibly even worse, end up getting murdered for it. He does the big cave spin, then you want to roll to the right, because, well, he starts his attack from the right. And again, make sure you go behind the direction he was facing when he shoots out those rings, so you don't get clipped when they come back, just like that. And eventually, after a good while, you're going to get him to phase 3, but it's not here exactly. It's going to happen soon enough, right here in fact. So he's going to start phase 3 by exploding in all these spirit projectile thingies, and while he's doing that, you can go ahead and buff yourself with some grass and some more resin if you feel like it. I guess the resin isn't super necessary, but it will help, and from this point on he's going to generally combo 3 moves together almost every time, so make sure that you don't be like me and don't be too greedy, so just get your one hit at a time and keep going. So since you're only getting one hit every opening, you probably won't be able to apply poison with the rotten pine resin, so you should probably use some elemental resin to get some more damage out of every attack. And as you can see, he can also use summon signs to teleport himself right next to you, which is kind of cool that he can do that, even if it's really just an opportunity to teleport, but I really like the way they handled it. So one other thing I need to mention is that when the spirit projectiles hit the ground, they'll create lightning bolts that will come and strike wherever they land, so try to stay away from those things so that you don't get comboed, and occasionally he's going to go ahead and explode into some more souls like this, and you can use that time to buff yourself up if you feel like it. So yeah, just make sure that you keep rolling into wherever his attack is coming from in order to ensure that you have the best chance of dodging both the sword and the cape, and keep making sure you only go for one hit at a time, because any more than that will probably get you killed. Also make sure that you're always at full HP in order to ensure that your Lord's shield ring is active, otherwise you could very well get blasted and one-shotted by another attack. And also if you end up getting a stagger eventually, then you can feel free to go for another hit, but obviously it doesn't happen that often, so still try to stay patient and not too greedy. Well, I kind of ran out of tips to give at this point, because this fight just took really freaking long, because apparently he has a lot of HP and I don't have that much damage either, so I guess I'm probably just going to shut the hell up and let you guys watch the rest of the fight, I suppose. Yeah, as you can see, that was pretty close. I just barely managed to get the final hit in right when I ran out of Estus, and I even got hit by his cape afterwards, so I could have very well died to another attack if I just gotten hit like one more time, so yeah, that was pretty scary, but I did thankfully manage to do it, but hot damn. So with that done, I'm going to switch out the rotten pine resin for the gold pine resin in order to get some lightning damage, because that's what I'll be needing for the next boss, which is where I'm going to head now. So I'm going to light the bonfire first, and I'm going to teleport back to the second bonfire of the stage. Wait, no, I'm going to Firelink Shrine first, actually. Yeah, I'm going to buy some resin, I think. Yeah, as well as some more green blossoms, because I was starting to run out of those things, so I'm just preparing myself. Alright, so now that I've restocked, I'm going to actually teleport back to the second bonfire this time, and we're going to once again head onto the elevator over here after I pull the lever and wait for it to get up, but afterwards you're going to come back in this hole in the wall and you're going to go to the left side rather than the right side. And over here is the statue you can hit, which is actually an invisible wall, and it'll lead you to this ladder, which you can use to get down here, which will lead you to the final boss. Well, the final boss I have to beat, that is. That's a pretty nice looking sword on that table over there. Anyway, you drop down the hole in order to get yourself into the gorgeous arena. And maybe you can notice our familiar friend over there, but in case you weren't aware, it's Mr. Midir, whom we fought on the bridge. So, as you might expect, there's going to be a few deaths, of course. So I only had 4 deaths, which I gotta admit is kind of impressive because I honestly thought it would be a lot worse. But again, it felt a lot worse because every attempt was like 5 minutes, so it took a damn while, but it wasn't as bad as I expected it to be, I suppose. So Midir will always start out with his crazy ass charge attack, and you can just stay there and wait for him to come to you, and after he does so, you can just roll through his attack and use that as an opportunity to buff itself with obviously some grass as well as some lightning resin for more damage, because that's what Midir is weakest to since he's a dragon and all. And obviously you want to go after his head because that's where he takes the most damage, because the rest of his body takes basically nothing. So yeah, you've probably noticed it already, but the camera goes kind of crazy during this fight, but it's not as bad as it seems because most of his attacks are kind of straightforward to dodge because you can kind of see his giant movement, so it's not that bad. Anyway, after most of his combos, you want to go for generally 2 hits. Going for more is pretty risky usually, but going for 1 is just not enough, so you go for 2 because otherwise the fight will take forever, even though it already takes forever. Most of his attacks will generally give you an opportunity to actually go ahead and hit him. You just have to make sure that you're close enough to his head once he finishes. And one thing I want to note is that you kinda have to be embered for this fight, otherwise the fire will probably kill you in 1 hit. You can survive his slaps and whatnot, but not the fire, so make sure you're embered when you're coming in here. When he slams both hands in the ground like this, if you're far enough away, you don't even have to roll, you can just keep walking backwards, and when he does his 2-bite attack like this, you want to make sure that if you get hit the first time, you want to spam the roll, because otherwise you're probably going to get hit the second time, so yeah, I'll make sure that you take that into account. So if he ever goes ahead and does the crazy ass charge attack again, that's your free time to buff yourself back up, because it takes a while and it's basically safe once you've managed to get behind him. So just keep on going and get your 1 to 2 hits every time you get an opportunity, and just keep doing it over and over until you reach phase 2, where things will switch up a little, but not much. Just like with Gael, make sure that you're always at full HP to avoid being at risk of getting one-shotted, because as it were, Midir's attacks do a lot of damage, and some of them can very well kill you if you're not at full HP for the Lord's Shield Ring to take effect. Anyway, here phase 2 begins, so take this time to buff up, of course. So for phase 2, it's going to be pretty similar to phase 1, but there's 3 main differences you need to worry about, and The first one is this, the crazy ass charge attack, because during phase 2 he'll always do 2 of them back to back, so he finished the first one and now he's going to do the second one, and of course you can use those to buff yourself back up if you need to, but otherwise it's just wasting a lot of time. The second one is the laser attack, which lasts a lot longer during second phase and covers a lot more ground, so you're gonna have to be a lot more careful. And the third one is an attack, a brand new one that we'll see later. And by later, I mean right now. So his new attack is this one, where he just summons a whole bunch of sprites to come after you, and when he does that, you want to just forget everything and run away from them, otherwise you're probably going to get comboed to death. So now Midir is going to roar and try to eat me again, so I'm just going to dodge that, and one more hit will get him to stagger, so I'm going to walk up forward and use the charge heavy attack before going in for the crit, because this will give me a little extra damage, and I'd hoped this would be enough to finish him off, but not quite, though he did leave himself wide open for 4 more hits, which were indeed enough to finish him off. So there you go. So there you go. The run is officially over. I've managed to beat every boss and every area in the game, which is kind of surprising because I didn't think I'd be able to do it because I'm bad at this game, but well, what can you do? So light the final bonfire just because, and go ahead and pick up the souls as well. All 0 of them. Yeah, I did die a couple of times, didn't I? So there you go. Everything is done and I've finally managed to complete this run. So here's one last wave for you before I go to sleep, of course. Hey there and welcome to the outro to this video. So I figured I'd use this time to give some updates on what's going to be happening from now on, since now that the run is over, there won't be any new Soul Level 1 videos to look forward to, so I'm going to have to start moving on to other stuff instead, and I honestly have no idea what those videos are going to be. I mean, I'm going to try to make more of them, videos I mean, but I have no idea what they'll be about or which games I'm going to be playing in them or anything, so you know, if you're interested in seeing more, you can always stick around and maybe one day I'll upload a video and hopefully that video isn't going to suck terribly bad, but you know, if you don't, that's perfectly understandable and that's also perfectly fine. So yeah, maybe for the 2 of you who enjoyed these videos for some reason, you can stick around and maybe one day there'll be another one for you to watch. So yeah. Anyway, that's about all I wanted to say, so of course, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, that's cool, I'm glad to hear it. If not, well, sorry, I tried my best, but it's also completely understandable, so that's going to be all from me. Thank you once again, and goodbye for now until the next video.